When I consider who I am as a writing teacher, I think back to my own personal development as a writer. It began pretty early on. My biggest influence is probably my dad, who has a degree in journalism. He was always my go-to to help with homework and to really hone my writing craft. I would go to him and he would really help with word choice. Another influence of mine was my junior year English teacher, Mr. Christenberry. He really pushed us to experiment with vocabulary and sentence structure. And he really shaped my writing to the level of sophistication that I feel like it is now. Also along the way, I love to read and write and journal. And so from even an early age, I was journaling, I was writing in a diary. Even now, as whenever I find the time, I read books, I listen to audio books, and I like to journal and write my thoughts as well. That has led me to experiment in different types of genres like songwriting or poetry. Professionally, I've also had a number of influences that have helped create and shape me as a writing teacher. From Jeff Anderson to a blog that I follow, Learning at the Primary Pond with Allison Ryan. These professionals have really helped shape my craft and help me really work specifically on specific skills and techniques that have improved not only my craft as a writing teacher, but also my students' writing as well. I also have colleagues that I've really looked to, that I've admired how they teach writing, from innovative ideas to really encouraging their students to take risks. They have inspired me to become a better teacher as well. Now, there are some really big ideas that I feel like I have as a writing teacher that help my students become better writers, such as everyone has the capacity to write. We all have stories to tell, and writing is a way that they can communicate those ideas. It doesn't come naturally for everyone, so I have to sometimes take off my teacher hat and really look in the eyes and walk a mile in the shoes of someone who doesn't enjoy writing, but it helps continue to develop me as a solid writing teacher. When I think about how my classroom looks, it's very important that my classroom is just really heavy on visuals with anchor charts, writing centers specifically dedicated for writing, with word walls, word banks, and lots of materials that the students have to experiment with. An author's chair is also important to allow students to have a voice whenever they share their presentation or their publications. And collaboration is key. So I like to sit my students at tables instead of in rows and columns. Anchor charts are very important. Whenever we are doing mini lessons, I like for all my anchor charts to be interactive. So it's not just my work, but it's our work together. There are a lot of resources that are important in my classroom as well, such as writing folders, which help build a portfolio of the students' work throughout the entire year. Technology such as iPads and Chromebooks, and access to mentor texts that we use. And so speaking instructionally, the writing workshop model is what I employ in my classroom, and through that, the students, we work together in a mini lesson where a new strategy is introduced. An anchor chart or another activity may be shared. And then mentor texts are also very important to use during that time to model good, solid writing. And then it's transitioned into guided practice. Now, guided practice can look different in a lot of different ways, but the important thing is that there's a gradual release of responsibility from the teacher doing it to the students and the teacher doing it together to independent practice with the students doing it themselves. And it's important to build stamina because I teach kindergarten and we start very small and we increase as students build stamina. So it's important to give them space and give them time to grow in their craft as a writer to become truly independent writers. And so when they leave my classroom, I truly hope that they are world changers in their own way, and that they see that writing is simply an expression of their ideas, and I hope that the tools I give them can help them express those things, and that they can see that they can change their world around them through the written form. So I really hope that my classroom, that my students, that they emerge from my classroom as authors. Thank you for listening.